his training camps were the stuff of legend. I mean, he would spar 100 rounds a week sometimes, which is just insane.
Yeah. So who do you like in Canelo versus Crawford?
Well, I'm a giant Crawford fan because I think he's the best switch hitter since Marvin Hagler. I also think he's one of those guys that if you tell him he can't do something, he wants to show you and shock you.
Joe Rogan has shared his reaction to Terence Crawford's intense training ahead of the potential showdown with Canelo Alvarez. Rogan pointed out Crawford's incredible switch-hitting ability and adaptability inside the ring, saying those tools could be the key to neutralizing Canelo's raw power and veteran experience, even with the size difference. At the same time, Rogan raised concerns about whether Crawford can bulk up enough to absorb Canelo's punishing shots, warning that the risk of being physically overpowered is very real.
Crawford's about to fight.
Yes, he's going to fight Canelo.
Oh, man.
I just hope he's big enough. I hope he's big enough to keep that dude off him because Canelo hits so hard, man.
That's one dude that, like, I believe all the shit he be talking.
Crawford? Yeah. Oh, he's good.
He don't just be saying shit.
They tried to say that like Errol Spence was damaged because of what Crawford did to him because he was damaged from the car accident. I'm like, maybe. Or maybe Crawford would have done that 3 years ago. I think he's that good. He's just so skillful. He's so slick. And when he gets, and he's also the best guy in the sport at switch hitting. He'll go from southpaw to orthodox and be just as good and trip you up. Like you think he's going to start southpaw, he starts orthodox. You prepare for orthodox, he's fighting southpaw. He feels like he's got you timed better orthodox, he'll switch it up.
Joe Rogan isn't holding back when it comes to this mega fight. He's made it clear he's rooting for Terence Crawford over Canelo Alvarez. On a recent episode of the Joe Rogan Experience with legendary commentator Jim Lampley, Rogan was asked who he favors, and without a second thought, he answered, Crawford. He went on to explain, I'm a huge Crawford fan because I believe he's the best switch hitter since Marvin Hagler. Plus, I think Canelo is starting to slow down. Rogan praised Crawford's slick footwork, adaptability, and ring IQ, while still acknowledging the massive challenge of facing Canelo's size and power.
Which I think is really interesting. The Crawford-Canelo fight.
Beyond interesting. Fascinating.
Because how does Crawford compete with that size? Crawford is leapfrogging. He goes to super middleweight.
47 to 54 and now to 68.
And the Madrigal fight in 54 is a difficult fight.
Yeah. So who do you like in Canelo versus Crawford?
Well, I'm a giant Crawford fan because I think he's the best switch hitter since Marvin Hagler. I also think he's one of those guys that if you tell him he can't do something, he wants to show you and shock you.
1000%.
I also think Canelo is slowing down, and Canelo is more of a one-punch fighter now than the combination fighter he was when he was young. He uses strength and conditioning. There's very few fighters that just train using skill. Just train skills. Like George St. Pierre did that for a certain period of his career.
I wonder if there's anybody left in boxing who trains just using the gym skills. There were a lot of them when I was first involved in the sport who would never have touched a weight.
Right.
You know, they
subscribed
totally to the notion that that was negative.
Right. And the worst case, I mean, they definitely did calisthenics, but that was it. It was just body weight exercises, you know, which brings us to Crawford, which I think is really interesting. The Crawford-Canelo fight.
Beyond interesting. Fascinating.
Fascinating. Because how does Crawford compete with that size? And, you know, we have to recognize, okay, well, when Canelo fought Floyd, it was 152 pounds, right? So he had dropped down, which was a struggle for him, which is why Floyd was so brilliant in getting him to go down to 152, because he knew he would be drained.
52 or 54?
Rogan also issued a word of warning for Crawford, stressing that he can't afford to step in against Canelo without extreme caution, given the size and power gap. Still, Rogan admitted he'd be glued to the screen for this one, calling it potentially the biggest fight in all of boxing. And in classic Joe Rogan fashion, his podcast breakdown went beyond just the fight. At one point, he even touched on cartel mule runners while analyzing the matchup, mixing sharp fight insight with his trademark offbeat cultural commentary.
You look at the elite of the elite boxers. To a man, to every one of them, they're disciplined. Yeah. And they stay focused. I'm so excited to see this fight with Canelo Alvarez because I think the Saudi Arabians have so much money. They're throwing so much money at boxing. And the guy who's the head of boxing over there wants to make that fight happen. I think Terence Crawford, forget about the 3 weight classes. I think he could beat Canelo.
I think he can.
On the Joe Rogan Experience, Terence Crawford opened up about his dominant 2023 victory over Errol Spence Jr., explaining how relentless preparation shaped the outcome. "Everything you saw on fight night, we drilled it over and over again," Crawford told Rogan, crediting his flawless execution to repetition and disciplined training. When the conversation shifted to the looming challenge of Canelo Alvarez, Crawford didn't back down. He acknowledged the size difference, saying, "He might be bigger than me, but big doesn't mean stronger."
Actually practicing it, that was something that when I had the cast on, I was like, man, I love the gym so much. I'm like, man, I'm not leaving the gym. Like, I'm going to practice with this left. And that's when I got the left stronger, because at first, when I go southpaw, it was only, my right. Then when my hand got messed up, I started working on the left, and it started getting stronger and stronger. And I started getting more accurate, because at first, just throw it just to be throwing it. And then, it just got to a point where my left was actually way stronger than my right.
Teddy Atlas views the potential clash between Canelo Alvarez and Terence Crawford as the ultimate battle of size versus speed. He points out that Canelo brings raw power and the comfort of fighting at his natural weight, while Crawford holds the edge in agility, timing, and ring IQ. Atlas even compared it to Manny Pacquiao's legendary upset over Oscar de la Hoya, stressing that Crawford's instincts and elusiveness are on another level. And while Canelo has already proven himself as a dominant force in higher weight classes, Atlas insists Crawford is truly something special, capable of overcoming those physical disadvantages with his versatility, savvy, and the kind of intangible skills that can change the course of a fight.
Maybe he's a little overrated.
Terence Crawford versus Canelo Alvarez at 168 pounds.
Canelo's really good. Really good. But I think Crawford is special. I know he hasn't fought the resume everyone wants, but you have that or you don't have that ingredient. I think he has it. Canelo's really good. He's tremendous. But could he be a tiny bit overrated? The greatness is within Crawford. It's in his desire. It's in his mind. It's in his makeup, where he came from. I know he's moving up in weight class. Can he carry it? But those intangibles, I believe that he has it.
In preparation for his super middleweight showdown with Canelo Alvarez, Terence Crawford has revealed a dramatic body transformation. After campaigning at 154 pounds, Crawford has bulked up significantly, reportedly walking around at 185, with earlier training footage even showing him close to cruiserweight size. Yet despite the added muscle, he still looks lean, sharp, and well-conditioned, a clear testament to his disciplined training and preparation. But not everyone is sold on the move. Strength coach Rob Aosta has raised concerns, warning that jumping from 154 straight to 168 and beyond could come at a cost, potentially slowing Crawford down and affecting his stamina when it matters most against Canelo's world-class power.
Crawford coming in the ring, and Crawford doing everything he can to match Canelo's power, possibly size, and to, at a minimum, try to just maintain what speed he already possesses. Because, when you go up in weight, sometimes you compromise speed. So we know Crawford and his team are doing everything they can to, at a minimum, maintain his speed. But the question came up, okay, since Crawford is looking to come in the ring fast, powerful, we know he's already brilliant. Shit, what if Canelo comes in lighter? I'm like, lighter? Yeah, what happens if Canelo says, you know what, I'm not gonna try to come and just outweigh him by 20 pounds on fight night, because I realize I'm in it with somebody who's very agile and who's probably going to be faster than me. And although I have timing, he has timing too. So I can't afford to be 2 or 3 steps behind Terence Crawford in my speed.
Boxing coach Greg Hackett doesn't see a knockout win for Terence Crawford over Canelo Alvarez as realistic in today's 12-round era. He explained that Canelo is simply too tough and experienced to be taken out that easily. According to Hackett, Crawford doesn't possess the kind of devastating one-punch power or the willingness to stand in the pocket and trade bombs that it would take to stop Canelo. Instead, he expects Crawford to deliver a technical masterclass, relying on skill and strategy rather than brute force. Hackett even added that maybe in the old 15-round format, Crawford's style could have worn Canelo down for a late stoppage, but not under modern rules. Meanwhile, the tension between the fighters is heating up as the showdown draws closer. Canelo recently quipped that Crawford would soon find out what happens when a good fighter steps up against a great fighter. Crawford wasted no time firing back, saying, "So that means you're a good fighter and Dimitri Bivol is a great fighter, right? Every time you stepped up, you lost." A sharp clapback, dripping with confidence, and a pointed reminder of Canelo's defeat to Bivol.
How do you feel like he will do going against somebody like a Canelo at 168?
I think Bud, man, one thing I love about Bud, he willing to challenge himself. And when you're willing to challenge yourself, you can surprise yourself. But that's a hell of a feeling. I think, to be honest, you don't want to sit there and brawl with Canelo, but at some point you're gonna have to fight him. You know what I'm saying? You can't let Canelo press you. You know what I'm saying? Because he's great at that, and he a bully. He is a bully. But Bud, I believe, got bully tendencies too. You know what I'm saying? And he could be crafty. But I think if he approached it the way he approached Spence, then we get a way better fight than people think. Now, what I saw when he approached Spence was, I can't make a mistake. I can't let him do too much. I can't let him be a bully. I think if he go at Canelo the same way, then we get a great fight on our hands. I'm sorry. I'm not saying he's gonna be that dominant, but I'm just saying I think we get a great fight on our hands.
Andre Ward, the former two-division world champion, has given a strong endorsement of Terence Crawford ahead of the potential clash with Canelo Alvarez. Ward didn't mince words, saying, "I'm not betting against Terence Crawford against anybody right now." He went even further, adding that Crawford is the kind of fighter you could bet the house on. While Ward acknowledged the dangers of moving up in weight and the risks of facing Canelo, he stressed that until someone shows they can truly break Crawford's will, he's sticking with Bud every time.
I'm going with Terence Crawford. You know, big weight jump, a dangerous fight, but somebody's got to prove to me that they can break Terence Crawford's will and that he can't figure it out against you. You know, it ain't no disrespect toward Canelo, but I've said this the last couple of years. I'm not betting against Terence Crawford against nobody right now. You got to show me this.
Dimitri Bivol, the WBA light heavyweight champion celebrated for his technical brilliance, has voiced nothing but admiration for Terence Crawford. In past interviews, Bivol has gone beyond calling Crawford good. He's called him amazing, even saying young fighters should study Crawford as a textbook example of how to box. And now, with the Canelo Alvarez fight looming, Bivol once again praised Crawford as one of his favorite fighters. He highlighted not only Crawford's skill but also the impressive way he's carried his size into higher divisions, and firmly stated that he believes Crawford has what it takes to beat Canelo.
Let me ask you a couple of questions. Crawford, Spence. I know you watched the fight and you spoke about Crawford. How good is Crawford?
Crawford is amazing, not just good. He's amazing, and
he said the same thing about you.
Thank you, Terence. But I think he should be in the book for how to learn boxing. You know.
Really.
He's a very good fighter. Yeah, I like to watch his fights.
Pound for pound number one.
Yeah, probably he is now because he is undisputed champion in 2 weight classes. And
it's crazy.
He's a great fighter. Yeah. To be honest, I didn't see, I think, Crawford in real life. I don't know how big he is. But the size, you know, when I came to boxing gym and my coach told me that one of the rules, it's like respect the weight classes, you know. You should respect weight classes. But he has a very good skill. He's one of my favorite fighters. Active fighter.
Bernard Hopkins believes Terence Crawford's dominant win over Errol Spence Jr. left consequences that go far beyond just the loss itself. Hopkins argued that the punishment Spence took that night was so severe, it was like Crawford took 4 fights off his career. In his view, the damage wasn't just physical but also psychological, something that could affect Spence's durability and performances moving forward. Hopkins suggested the toll of that fight will linger for years, changing the trajectory of Spence's career. It's a perspective that highlights Crawford's greatness, not just as someone who wins fights, but as a fighter whose impact can last long after the final bell.
Crawford.
Believe Crawford, even though, fought twice, throughout the year, Crawford, was...
But look who he beat.
Undisputed.
Look who he beat. Look who he beat.
what he did to Spence and how he did it, that's 3 fights to me. And it took 4 fights out of Spence, right? I'm a fighter, so I can tell you when you get punished like that.
Yeah, I was there ringside watching the fight.
It takes a few years out of you. Don't see the years right now, but it sort of takes something out of that person going forward. They still can beat some fights, but it really put a bruise on them. You didn't see Spence fight yet, did you?
No.
Did you hear him name opponent for him to potentially fight? It's been quiet. You see the weight.
Former champion Tim Bradley has made it clear he's still backing Terence Crawford, giving him about a 30 to 40% chance of beating Canelo Alvarez. Bradley openly praised Crawford's skill set and ring IQ, but admitted the size and power gap is a major concern. He questioned whether the smaller Crawford could truly withstand Canelo's heavy punches. Bradley also pointed out that Crawford's stubborn nature might backfire, warning that if Bud decides to stand and trade shots with Canelo, he could end up getting caught.
One more thing. It don't matter if Canelo is on that. He ain't beat no Terence Crawford. You heard it here first. Plus, I look at the performances of Canelo. I look at his last performances. I mean, they've been all right, you know. It ain't been like, you know, wow, you know, blew me away. So I'm not really worried about all of that. And the same thing goes with Crawford. I know he's with Snack, and I know some news came out this week and all of that, but I personally believe that Snack is clean. I think it's a conflict of interest, the fact that, hey, he knows how to beat the system, quote unquote, Victor Conte, but at the same time, I think Snack, you got products going around the world, this and that. I mean, all these athletes are testing. They're not testing anything or positive by using Snack at all. So I think they're safe. There's no doubt about it. So with that being said, I'm not worried about that. As long as they're testing, I'm good.
Robert Garcia has given a blunt and refreshing perspective on Canelo Alvarez's recent fighting style, especially in light of Edgar Berlanga's loss. Garcia observed that Canelo no longer pushes for the knockout the way he once did. Instead, he does just enough to secure the win. He explained that while Canelo still has knockout power, he's adopted a more measured, calculated approach, often dropping opponents but choosing not to finish them. According to Garcia, this shift is all about longevity, with Canelo preserving his body and energy for bigger challenges down the line.
Why is it that Shiraz was able to knock out Berlanga but not Canelo?
Because Canelo doesn't go out for the knockout anymore. Canelo's just now, you know, we've seen in the last few fights, he just does enough to win. He did the same again, Munguia. He dropped Munguia, but then they didn't want to finish him. Charlo, Berlanga. He wants to cruise through the fight. You know, he's up there, you know, in not in age because he's only like 33 or 34, but he's
fighting since 15.
A lot of training camps, a lot of sparring matches. So all that takes a lot out of your body. So he takes care of his body too. So he doesn't go all out because he doesn't want to just finish his body. He knows he still has a few more years and a few big fights where he wants to take care of himself and not punish himself too much. That's why he hasn't been able to knock those guys out. Not because he can't. I think he just does enough to win. I think Shiraz also has great power, man. I think Shiraz has the power that nobody believes.
Virgil Ortiz Jr. hasn't held back when it comes to his prediction for the Canelo Alvarez versus Terence Crawford showdown. Ortiz is firmly picking Canelo to win, and win clearly. He explained that even though Crawford has bulked up to around 180 pounds, simply adding weight doesn't mean you truly belong at super middleweight. In Ortiz's eyes, there's a big difference between putting on size and actually being built for the division.
I don't think he is, but if he beats Canelo, he'll be like my #1 fighter of all time.
You don't think Crawford beats Canelo?
I don't think so. And look, hear me out. I respect Crawford and everything that he's doing, but he just moved up from 147, so I'm just gonna treat him as a 147 pounder. He's jumping up 3 weight classes to fight someone who was like the #1 fighter in all of boxing, you know. The jump would be hard, even if it was just like some top 10,
right, yeah.
You know.
Bud, would you say he's a very smart fighter?
Yes.
Very calculated,
yes.
Right? Don't you think that maybe he sees something that most people aren't seeing?
I think he does, but the thing is he gonna be able to even like to capitalize on it? Because he's a smaller fighter, and look, I think people are thinking at the aspect of, can Crawford do it? Yes, I think he can do it, but can Canelo do it? And I think he has a bigger chance of doing it than Crawford does.
Favors him.
Now, Canelo, he has obviously the size advantage, the strength advantage, intellect. I think Crawford edges him out in IQ. I just think the weight difference is going to be the deciding factor here. I mean, like, when I seen Canelo's check hook against Berlanga, that shit was like this. You know, and Canelo's not slow either. Like, this shit was, I didn't see that coming at all. He just dropped him, and I was just like, damn, he still got it. I just think that Crawford just bit off a little more than he can chew, but if he can chew it and he beats him, which I think he can. I'm not saying he can't. I'm not saying he has 0% chance. I'm just thinking Canelo wins. But if he does, he will be my #1 fighter of all time.
Wow, I always knew that you had a lot of respect and admiration.
Ortiz stressed Crawford's size disadvantage, pointing out that if Canelo lands clean, it could spell serious trouble. He ultimately sees it as a clear win for the Mexican superstar. Still, Ortiz didn't dismiss Crawford's abilities entirely, acknowledging his ring IQ and underrated power. In fact, Ortiz admitted that if Crawford were to pull off the upset, he'd personally rank him as the greatest of all time.
He has a bigger chance of doing it than Crawford does.
Favors him.
Now, Canelo, he has obviously the size advantage, the strength advantage, intellect. I think Crawford edges him out in IQ. I just think the weight difference is going to be the deciding factor here. I mean, like, when I seen Canelo's check hook against Berlanga, that shit was like this. You know, and Canelo's not slow either. Like, this shit was, I didn't see that coming at all. He just dropped him, and I was just like, damn, he still got it. I just think that Crawford just bit off a little more than he can chew, but if he can chew it and he beats him, which I think he can. I'm not saying he can't. I'm not saying he has 0% chance. I'm just thinking Canelo wins. But if he does, he will be my #1 fighter of all time.
Wow, I always knew that you had a lot of respect and admiration.
Do you think Terence Crawford's intense training camp gives him the edge if he steps in against Canelo Alvarez? Share your thoughts and drop your predictions in the comments.